All right, so yeah, I'm going to talk about media collections online, which at IU is our primary Avalon repository. And thank you for to Emily for these slides, which most of which are taken from her Midwest Share Fair. So Media Collections Online, yeah, is our locally hosted main production instance of Avalon Media System, customized in many ways for IU. It contains over 200,000 media objects, and it's basically our primary repository for everything, moving image and audio. So we use it for course reserves. We use it for private collection materials as well as all of our publicly available materials. So basically everything at one point or another runs through this system. Yeah, so it's got a lot of different stuff. It's been open to many different units. We have stuff from all over the university. You can see here's a selection of the different areas, but scholarly projects, library holdings. We manage a lot of different stuff. Yeah, so this is what it looks like. I should put the URL earlier in here, but the URL is media.dlib.indiana.edu. So Media Collection Online, it's public. It's got a search and presentation interface that you all are probably very familiar with. But yeah, we have our player here. We've got metadata. We've got all sorts of stuff. So some of our current and future work is number one, legacy projects. We have a lot of stuff that we want to get into Media Collections Online. Reworking our existing digitization workflow. We have a lot of stuff that's gone through our Media Digitization Preservation Initiative projects. And with a new Born Digital or digitized workflow, we want stuff to go directly into our main system. Let's see. Machine-generated transcripts is another thing that's come up a lot. So we want to be able to investigate our options, which we are currently doing on how we can create and then add machine-generated content to the resources that we have in the system. Performance is always a big one. We've done a lot of performance improvements to Avalon with an eye to making life easier for all of our users in Media Collections Online. And then accessibility review. So we've done a lot of accessibility review for public-facing pages, but not as much for the non-public or sort of collection staff-facing side of the application. So things that are working well for us. Yeah, we have over 200,000 media items. So this screenshot is probably already out of date. But we just have a lot of content. So again, these are like objects, and then each object could of course have one or more media files associated with it. So the actual count of media files is much higher than this. This is just objects themselves. But there's a lot of different people in here working on a lot of different types of content. And we have many integrations. So we've got metadata import hooked up for not only our library catalog, but also the FilmDB, which is our moving image archives database of record. We also integrate with a rights management database, which is another custom application. And so there's a lot of information being published and consumed by external services, and a lot of importing that we're doing from various databases of record into Media Collections Online records. So we have, Avalon sort of long been had granular access control as one of the sort of notable points. So we have a slightly customized version of this where rather than logged in users only, it's IU users only. At IU, anyone can sign up for a guest account. So the logged in IU users only is, again, things that we just make available to everyone who's in the central IT managed groups as having, membership at the university. And then we also have a lot of stuff that's also done by individual user or group for like researcher access or IP address ranges, which our School of Music uses. So you can, sit down at the music library and just stream content directly from one of the PCs that they have available. So we, as mentioned, we're using this for course reserves. So we use Canvas. And Avalon has LTI-based authentication. So we have a workflow where our staff, goes in, puts in a Canvas identifier for a course, adds that to the record, and then the media will show up as authorized for that class. So we've got many challenges. One is just we have really, really big items. So we have sort of a mix of collection level items and then just, plain items. So we have, particularly from our archives of traditional music, a lot of things which, have maybe hundreds of recordings per catalog record. And they're all sort of listed here. And dealing with all the, metadata can be a little tricky. But as mentioned here, field recordings are a pretty common example, but this is just content that we have a lot of. Again, we also have a lot of stuff. And so import actions, export actions can take a really, really long time. Every time we want to do a full reindex of the system, which is, frequently as we often update our indexing strategy or want to add or remove things from the index, it just, takes a really, really long time to go through and walk all of those records. Yeah, so let's see. So we also have Dark Avalon, which is a closed off, dark repository that contains material just done through the Media Digitization Preservation Initiative project. And so we've got the stat of what's been pushed to MCO or not pushed to MCO, where push is just an action that copies a record from one Avalon to another. So we have a lot of stuff that's, waiting to go into media collections online. And a lot of the what we're facing now is not so much the technical effort of getting it into the repository, but rather, do people have, staffing to even look at all the information? Do they have, anyone to catalog it? A lot of places don't have staffing. And so we're basically working with as many people as we can to see if we can, help them or what they need in order to actually get everything in the production system so it can be managed and possibly made available for access. And so again, we have like lots of legacy content. Here's an example of one that we're working on. So we've got all sorts of different considerations from like, what's can we make new derivatives from existing material? If so, what does that look like? For a lot of these projects, as many of us are familiar, there's no like, easy mapping from an existing database or website. It's not going to pop out a ready to ingest spreadsheet for us. So we have to go in and sort of figure out how we want to map things, how we're going to do it, how we're going to rework all of the stuff that we have so we can get it into our current system and away from these legacy websites. And one of those things is accessibility. So it's a big thing that's on our minds. Media collections online, people want to use it on mobile now. So we have a lot of testing that we've started adding in, making these interfaces accessible on a much smaller viewport, continues to be a challenge. And we haven't done, as I mentioned, non-public pages. So, this kind of public interface, yeah, we've done a lot of accessibility work, but there's a lot of collection staff focused stuff that we haven't yet. And then we also have Site Improve through Indiana University. So we have a dashboard and we get reports as well about things that are sort of not passing. So yeah, I think I'm at the end here, but I encourage everyone to go, check it out. We have a lot of public content, and you can email me or Emily if you have any questions or want to talk about this. Thank you.